Welcome to Fast Pace, the new growth, leadership and management podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Dean Mackie. We wanted to peel back the layers on what happens in the world of fast-paced real estate agencies, from new leadership models to the management challenges we all face each day. This is about a new era in the estate agency sector. Rapid changes to business models, service lines, remuneration and growth present the greatest opportunities that we've ever seen. Sit back, get inspired, grow your skills and reimagine what's possible with Fast Pace. Every Friday, wherever you get your podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Josh Phegan Digital. One of the most critical components inside of any business is actually making sure that you've got someone who's in charge of sales. And when you think about being in charge of sales at different stages inside of every market and in every cycle, you're going to need different things. Sometimes we're about prospecting for buyers, sometimes we're prospecting for sellers. But Dean, as a great business leader, we've actually got to be in there to provide great deal support to our people. And the interesting thing is that, you know what, if you've never been through a high inflation market, maybe you don't know how to deal with it. If you've never been in a position where a market's come off, maybe you don't know how to deal with that. So how do we make sure that we provide, through our sales leaders, through our directors, great quality support in the deal support to our salespeople and our sales teams? And Dean, we do see that sometimes in extreme markets that literally we take the power back from salespeople and that all offers need to be presented to a sales manager before they can actually be presented to an owner to make sure that it's presented in the correct way, and particularly by our establishing staff that are learning the tools of the trade and how to actually bring a deal together. Dean, what are your thoughts about deal support, what really works in an office, and how do you scale that when you start to get to a group, and particularly one of your size?
It's interesting. I think leadership is the biggest challenge. People are, I mean, we're not in a science-based business, we're in a people-based business, and therefore, and there are business models out there that I know of that, you know, really say, well, we'll pay the agent a high comm split on the basis that we don't really provide much support at all. And I think, in a great market, some people can do all right from that, but it's really in these times that, you start to see people saying, well, hold on a minute, I'm not really getting what I need here and I'm not being as effective and I'm not really, I've been writing a certain amount, but I haven't really grown that income level for a period of time and I'm feeling a bit lonely and all that stuff, right? So deal support goes quite broad. It's really, for me, the leadership capability of a business to really help agents, to your point, through a cycle, because we forget. I've got people in our organisation and across my organisation, we're only just talking about some stuff today where, we've got people in our business who haven't been through this sort of environment before. Some people have only ever sold in a pretty good market, right?
If you came in the last 3 years, it was awesome.
Spot on. And then, and then you look at, when other people have worked in other markets and they realise that they have to work with, just simple things like that others might not even know is, how do you make sure you're qualifying for vendor motivation? How instead of sort of sending out a vendor report once when you feel like it, making sure that you're actually meeting the vendor, on the Saturday afternoon after the very first open to talk about what you need to do next. I mean, those little things, right? Those little nuances, the craft that we have in this industry, as and when the market is shifting, doesn't really, it doesn't seem as though it's that important. But in my view, I've always had a view that a business needs to strike a balance between giving the agents what they need and then also making sure the customer's getting what they need as well, right? Because sometimes the agent might not know or have the skill set or maybe they've just got a difficult vendor. There's so many different scenarios here, right? But I sort of liken it to, if you want to sort of chunk it up, it's really sales enablement, right? When you say deal focus, I think sales enablement. How do I enable my salespeople to be more effective? How do I help them unlock more? How do I help them do all that stuff? So in our ethos, Josh, you asked about our organisation, I'm very much about providing that. It's like, how do we provide that support that the team need as and when they need it, and also anticipating ahead of the curve what those needs may be, and then checking and adjusting. I've just discovered in our organisation there's some tools at the moment that our team are not using that I really thought that they were, and so of course we now need to circle back and go, right, let's plug that gap, because it's actually affecting the team's effectiveness. So sales enablement's quite a broad sort of umbrella in my view. But then it can sort of chunk right down to deal strategy, to your point, how to present offers, all those sorts of things, because, the strategy you need for a buyer in the current market's quite different to one you may need before, and the strategy you need for your vendor is also quite different. So how do you make sure, and the thing is about where we're at now is it's even more important because the cycles are so much shorter and sharper. The market we went to at Christmas time is not the market we've come back to. And so and I was in a meeting today with an agent who has been in our organisation for 3 years, and he really hasn't put the effort in to becoming the real estate professional that he really should be and he can be. And he's a perfect example of a guy who just doesn't put the planning into making sure that he's putting the right effort on the right thing. So we put a program in place today to shift that for him, right? Which will help. So I guess another analogy, because it's about closing deals and helping get price reductions and all those sorts of things are the sort of things that really help with deal support.
But it's interesting, about the impact of digital, right? So I'm having a look in 08-09, we went through GFC, we went through Asian financial crisis, we followed that close by Banking Royal Commission. We've had a whole range of things that we've gone through in different cycles, Dean. And in the old days, we would almost go back to the whiteboard, right? And we're having a look at the listing and we're having a look at the things that are important: inquiries, inspections, second appointments, contracts, offers. Where's the offer sit compared to where the current expectation is? What does it need to be in order to go and sell today? In the digital world, that kind of gets glossed over. That the CRM's just going to look after that. It's going to be on a digital board somewhere, and people don't necessarily look at those numbers to go, hang on a second, that should be an alarm, right? We're not getting second appointments. That should be an alarm. There's not an offer on that particular property. As a sales leader, do you need to get back to that level of working through?
Yeah. I got to say, Josh, you used to have a bit of a formula. What was it? After your very first open, you had to have a certain number of contracts, offers, or whatever. I mean, I
simplified that to 9-14 now. So second appointment by day 9, and if you don't have an offer by day 14, it won't sell.
Well, I think it's even less than that. I mean, I'm back to saying to our guys, you need to actually make price adjustments day 1. Because if you think about it, back in those days, Josh, what you're talking about, we also didn't really have digital. We actually had mainly paper-based advertising. Yeah. And so if you wanted to make the cutoff, if you want to make a price adjustment for the following week, you pretty much had to have it into the publication by Monday. Otherwise, you had to wait another week before you could make the price adjustment to go to the print media, right? So we actually had discipline then to say, well, we're going to know on day 1 and we're going to come back and talk about price and make those adjustments as and when necessary, not wait for a week or two to get to it. So it's those little disciplines that can make a massive difference in certain markets. In other markets, it's probably not important, but knowing which ones of those levers to pull is all part of deal support. I see deal support not just about the actual transaction, I also see it about how to help people convert leads at the front.
Yeah, and win.
And then also deal support during, and then also what's going to happen when we're fulfilling all the promises that we've made. So
do you view people like sub 50 transactions in their career different to people that have done more than 50?
Look, I haven't really thought about it like that, but yeah, I think there are people who might do 20 deals a year, but they're still struggling.
So in their total career though, so when someone's new, under 50 transactions, that must be a higher propensity of needing more sales,
absolutely,
coaching more consistently.
Well, in fact, as a consequence of that, we've just actually put on somebody who's fully responsible for when someone starts in our organisation, that it's a competency-based learning program. They've got to tick boxes before they can progress. But then there's somebody who actually, at least in that first 90 days, who works through and makes sure they know exactly where they're at. And then we develop a support and development program for them post 90 days, so we can actually get them up to speed as quickly as possible. But then they actually have a sales manager who then will meet with them, and depending upon the individual, how frequent that will be, to make sure they're across all of those issues. And I guess, look, if you think about a footy team or a soccer team or whatever, they all have, and you look at it at an elite sports level, they'll have a coach, of course, and maybe a player manager and some experts in there, and doctors and a specialist guy who does all the training and all the bits and pieces. And I just think to myself, you're actually running an elite sports team. What's going to be the support services you need to actually tap in and give your athlete or your agent what they need when they need it? That's how I sort of see it, right? And there are going to be some agencies that do more and some that do less. I guess if you're paying really high splits to agents, you're going to probably do less, if none at all. And then there are others that go, well, hold on, we're going to strike a balance. And we're probably in that model of how do you strike a balance between the agent, splits being reasonably good, and then also the support that they get.
And then also too, inside of any office, who's helping? So there might be some senior salespeople that can assist. There might be a sales manager that can assist. It might be you as the director. But what's really important is that people need to know who to go to 100%. About what, and know they can get a swim lane.
I mean, look, the other one thing is that's underutilised is your auctioneer, right? So we've got full-time in-house auctioneers, and the benefit of that to us is that they're jockeying around the business all the time, heading out to vendor meetings, being able to have that conversation. So let's say an agent's struggling to actually get a vendor to actually meet the market, have the auctioneer come in and actually do those meetings with you and actually get the vendor to the reserve set correctly. So this is happening during the week, not turn up on the morning of the auction and then go, hey, let's have a chat in the room over there while the buyers are outside. It's not that. It's actually, we're going through a process where the vendor goes, oh, I get it, and the auctioneer has a role to play in helping that deal get across the line. So it's setting up for success for the weekend. So all those little things, you're right, knowing who can actually come in and play that role and help you get a great result.